Hello and welcome to this video on Background Designer version 0.50 alpha. I'm going to show you a few things that are new here and hopefully you get an idea of how this can be used. So I'm just going to extract this windowed version and give it a go. Okay, so we start with pick a brush, and we can pick a brush from anywhere here, anywhere at all. There's even some user ones that I've been testing, and I want to show you how that works. Now ignore the fact that I've got loads already loaded here. I'm just going to load in one from one of the packs that I've supplied. So if I go to, let's see, my stock assets folder, I've gave you guys access to all of these. These were all work in progress files that I was testing with. So I'm going to go for this dot line 4. It's quite a nice one, and open that up as a new brush, and I'll call it dot arc quarter or something. Yeah. Okay, and that's giving me this brush, and as usual you can tab through these things. Now I'm just going to press I so that I can ignore the background, because I'm going to build a whole new brush out of this one. So I'm just going to rotate and things like that, change some things. So I want to work in the RGB mode so that I can later customize these tones. Now you see this one's built up of a base tone, and the blue tone does something. The red and green don't actually do anything with this brush, only built it out of black and blue. If I press F5 you can visualize that, and then if I do Shift Tab I'll go back to those colors. Right, so I'm going to make some kind of pattern, and I'm going to use the same kind of color code system. So my base is going to be black, and this initial color, yes, I'll make it blue, just like that, right? And that way I can start to think about how I'm going to customize this. So I'll place one down there, I'm going to rotate it and scale it down a bit, one here, one there. Let's start to shift some of these colors around. So I'm going to go towards green, and you'll see how this is useful later. I can kind of make a gradient or something, right? And then a little bit more towards green. I'll make some more, scale it down. I'm using E and R to rotate. E, R, E. Okay, I'm going to shift even more towards green, and even more, and make it scale down a bit. Let's go totally green now. And now let's start to shift this base color into into red, because we've not used red yet. So I'll go there and do a little tip, and just kind of scale it down a bit. Let's go a bit more red than that. Scale it down, shift it across towards yellow, and that should do it, right? That's going to be our new brush. So I'm going to use the right mouse button to kind of get this in the center, like that. And I'm going to basically use Control L or export the layers. Now it's not enabled in the menu yet, but Control L is going to be to export your layers that are active, and it will ignore the background. So I'll call this custom, I don't know, bush or something, tree, custom tree, no idea what I call it. Right, so now that that's saved, I can load it back in as a brush. So there it's there. Later I'll make this easier just to capture the image. There's a way I can do this. So please name this brush, I'll call it custom tree 1 or something, right? And there you go, it's already swapping the colors out based on the tones that are coming in. And if I press F5 I can kind of visualize that it should look a bit different actually. I've turned these down, that's why. Okay, there we go. So it's looking a bit more like what we'd expect. I'll press I to bring the background back, and shift spacebar to change the background to something nice. That one looks quite cool. Tab to get some different looking shapes, Let's change this up for white. Let's see if we change that to yellow. This one to blue. That's quite interesting. And yeah, like that. And now I'm just going to place that down there. And I'm going to use Control and R, and that changes in 5-degree increments until I get to a multiple of 45, which is 315. I'll put that round a bit there. Same again until I get to 225 or 2? Let's see, it's 180 plus 45, 225. I'll put that there. Oh, I've kind of ballsed up the scale, but you get the idea. Like that. Now I can just backspace, go scroll down a bit and make sure that I can fit this in. So rotate until we get to 225. I'm using Control and E. This one will be 315. Put that somewhere there, and be 0. 45 with this one, and 90 plus 45 is 135. 135. There we go. I've got a nice little shape there. I'll press I to ignore the background again, and maybe I'll change these up to be like stronger. So red and then green. So make that red. I'll press F3 so that they all get these colors. Is it F3? Yeah. And red and then green. Yeah, okay, that's them adopting those colors. And I'll just use the right mouse button to center it a bit. And cool. Now I can basically use Control L to save that layer out and call it custom brush burst. And I can load that one in. There it is there. And I'll call it brush burst, or burst brush. Burst brush. And backspace to clear everything. And I can draw with shift. Let's just bring a gradient in. So I'll press I to bring back gradient background. Yeah, now I can basically, yeah, change things up. Now I'm using shift and drawing with shift here, and I can make a nice pattern. Let's get a better looking tones than that, please. Let's go for some blue tones. Backspace, scale it up, and we can sort of play with the rotation, do some cool stuff like this. So I'm just holding down E and clicking a few times and make some nice patterns like that. See how they look with different backgrounds. It's quite nice. If I hold down shift and draw, I can actually draw more than just one. It uses up more plots this way. Now, if it's affecting frame rate, you will have to go into Photoshop and actually crop this manually until later I'll work on that. But I want to open it up, and I think it's this one. So it's loaded it into, it might have loaded it into the custom brushes. So ideally we changed that one so it's automatic. I don't have to load it in again. So where is that? So F, background designer, custom brushes. Should be a copy in here. That's there. Right, so I'm going to crop this to size like that. I'm just going to check the size. I don't want it to be too big as well. It uses up more memory. Image size 926. Let's put bilinear on. Let's go down to about 600. Let's just put that on. But 600 is a good enough size for a brush. And I'll just do another crop. Cool. And I'm going to save over the file. So I'll just do save. And now if I basically escape or quit out of background designer. Don't crash out, it won't save this. So just now it's basically the way that it was saved, so it used up all this extra space and I've cropped it. But now that I escape and I've resaved it and I load background designer again, it's going to basically fetch it again. It's going to give me an updated version. So there it is there, and it's now a bit more efficient. You can't see the border anyway, but it's probably a little bit more pixelated, but we don't need it to be too big anyway. So I'm going to control click this color so that they all get the same color, right? Or I can do something with the background. I like to maybe, a nice way to make some color variation is to make a gradient background and press tab on it, and it will pick from the document. So this one's picking from the document, or it'll pick at random, and then tab again, it will pick locally wherever the brush is. So this is locally from the document and there. Now you can pick locally from the palette as well and kind of get some nice tones like that, and then just go ahead and sort of paint with this. I can paint some little kind of trees. Let's change the background, something like that. If I'm not too sure of the colors, press F3. That's now going to switch to a different mode where all the colors get changed. I'm going to press B to turn the brush off so I don't see the overview of that brush, and I can kind of change up these tones however I like now. I've just made a nice kind of effect, and that's now still there. If I like the look of that effect, I'll press F4 so that it gets stored. Now, all of this is in the info, and the help panel tells you about the mixing and things, and I think I explain it a little bit somewhere here. Maybe not, but there's plenty of videos going to be made, and I'll be talking about this more often and making it easier. So that's a nice effect. So Control Z, I can play back. I can intervene and make new things happen. So maybe I like some different colors. I'm just gonna do tab over here. Yeah, get some nice blues, and now Control Shift Z will bring back anything else that I made. So I basically intervened in the plot list, so I can rewrite history and just try some stuff out, make some nice looking textures and patterns. If you press W, you'll get that wrap mode. We can shift over a bit so we can fix any horizontal seam lines quite easy. So you can make up custom brushes really easy with this. Make little kind of spiral shapes really easy. Let's make this quite bright yellow. Control click so that everything gets that, and do some variations. This one's almost like a little explosion. There we go, we can add little explosions. Scaling up every so often. Put the opacity all the way down, so I'll press 1 and let's make it a bit bigger actually, and hold down shift and E at the same time and draw. We'll get some nice effects like that. And the cool thing is you can save these out as like an image and use them somewhere else. So even that is a kind of solar flare. That's pretty cool. Press Y to flip vertically and X to flip horizontally and get a little bit of variation. Scale it up a little bit or down and do some more. I can save that out as a brush now. All I have to do is press I to hide the background. That looks pretty cool. And then Control L again. It's basically going to export the layer. Only layer 10's used. And I'll call this like solar burst. Get the idea. You can keep going forever with this and make new things. Again, I want to go into Photoshop and just crop it until I make an auto cropper or something like that. I'll figure something out. It's pretty cool. Solar burst, let's just check that there. Okay, and I'll just do an auto crop, image size, and again I'll just do 600, don't need it to be too big. Save over that, and let's load it in. So solar burst, it makes a copy of it locally, so I can give it a new name, but solar burst is fine. Backspace to clear everything. Now you see it's adopted the new colors. If I want to go back to the original colors, just slide that to the left there, and that's got new, it's got its original colors. I can go somewhere in between and get variations of that, maybe just a little hint of color change. So as I draw, I can basically get a tiny little bit of a change between these, maybe a bit more. Don't have to stick to those colors. I can really max that out and go for anything at all. Let's swap it out for like blue tones. And depending on the contrast between the red, green and blue colors. So to debug that, basically press F5. You can see it's only really got green and a hint of red. Now I can go into Photoshop again and use Control L and really like push those like that. So we're basically using red and green. If we look at the channels in here, you can see blue is not used very much, green is getting used, and red's getting used an awful lot. You can level adjust each channel as well, but it might become a bit of a squeeze, especially this one. It's kind of all or nothing. But we can paint in here as well. Can lock the, if I lock the pixels and paint in here, can darken those up a bit. Go into the blue channel and paint a little bit of white, maybe the tips. You can do something similar inside GIMP or whatever you use. Now we've got a whole variation here. Save that out. Just make sure I'll save over the actual file that we've copied based on the palette, the folder that it uses. So solar burst, there it's there. Doesn't matter if I overwrite it, it's fine. It's fine. We're just testing things here. Okay, so if I escape out of this and load it back up again, that's going to refresh that brush. There it is. So you see it's got a lot more happening with it now. I can use it for other things. So let's go for yellow. Let's just tab over here until they all get yellow and really mix up these tones. Let's go for kind of red. In fact, let's make that one bright. These get a bit darker, and this one really reddish. We can play around with these values as well, so it tones them, it decides whether to use those or not, and also to make them transparent. And get something like that, and I'm going to press 2 for a little bit of opacity, and basically just start kind of drawing with that. Shift, and you can make some nice kind of pattern there. So it's good for that kind of thing, if you like that, or you want to make kind of little custom brushes, little flowers and things like that. Tab, get different colors really easy. I like to go for the random one, so it's this one, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They don't look too different, but you can really change them up the way you want. Control click there, shift that there. Make that bright pink as well. Let's go with that a bit darker. Change the background. Let's just turn the background off so we can really see this, and mix it up with some other shape, like a circle here. Let's make that kind of yellowish. And yeah, you know, I'm coming up with nice pretty things, but you get the idea that you can really build these up the way you want. So thanks for watching this video. Version 0.5 is out just now on itch. I'm super excited about everything I'm going to make in this. There's loads of brushes still to be added. Maybe other people are making brush packs and you can bring those in. For example, I do have a few kicking around of ones that people have made for me, and yeah, just import those. Like, what's that one I was thinking of the other day? Oh yeah, so Blip Paint is an older project, and there's a whole lot of images in this, and I've basically just released this pack into the itch of this product, so you basically get everything in here as well. You have to have a look inside to see what's there because it's all individual stuff, and Blip Paint can actually construct your little clusters of each of these. It randomizes automatically, it picks from different ones, you make little bushes and trees and things. But we can go ahead and just like bring in this like leaf and, you know, do something with that. It's a bit more limited because it doesn't use the full RGB channels. It uses black and white instead. So basically your black tones is going to be one color and your white tones is going to be another. So you can go between, let's say, blue there and this pink color. So you only really need these two. You can like put that up. These not really needed. You can ramp them up to see what effect, but it only really use those two channels. And again, you can just randomize them to be whatever you want. Maybe get a nice autumn looking colors. If we go, let's say like there somewhere, and yeah, kind of dark tone with that. But what to do is make the background gradient the two colors that you want. This is a nice little trick. So you can go there and then a bit more kind of reddy orange for their eye to bring that back. And when you press tab, it's basically going to pick from the document at some point. So this one, so 1, 2, 3 document, 1, 2, 3, that's the document. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that gives us variation there. It's not as clever as Blip Paint. Blip Paint is much more designed for that kind of thing, and it does like random rotations and, you know, placement and things, but this might be more in line with just like fine tuning and you just want to place a few around. So you've got access to that Ghibli style folder where I've made loads of brushes that were designed for Blip Paint, but you can use them here. There's little birch tree branches. I've got a birch branch, and you can slide this to the left to get the original colors. So you've got a little birch branch there, and you know, stack it up, scale it down, rotate it, make your own little kind of tree from there. Just like start bringing in branches. So scale up with the mouse, E and R to rotate. It's quite nice actually to just construct something this way. Saves you doing loads of brush strokes. I'm basically using the mouse as well, so you can do art without all the tablets and things. Right, so there's that, and I do have some foliage things here. We've got some leaves here, and let's make some nice colors. So we need to make sure we switch this back to new. And that looks pretty, right? That kind of color. But we want to really kind of mix these up. These use all 4 tones, the ones made for background designer. Maybe Blip Paint will get an upgrade so that it uses 4 tones as well, but I like to keep that simpler. But oh, that's lush. Look at that. Yeah, I really like some of the effects. It's not really using that one. Okay, let's make this a little bit more yellowish. And this a little bit more blue. I like that range. Been inspired by some artists, and one in particular, she goes from this blue to this light green color. It's really nice. So then I can just dot that around. bit like that, right? And just rotating, maybe scale a little bit. Let's make things a little bit brighter for maybe some sort of sun highlight. Even this one, bring that up a bit more as well. Really kind of make that look translucent. There is a few different leaf brushes and different folders, but I'll organize these as well so you get all the ones that were there at the start back. I've been messing around too much with it, and yeah, even more of a little highlight. In fact, we can tone out, we can transparify, I guess it's a word I'm going to use. We can make these transparent and just be left with little highlights, and really kind of just tap those down a few times. Let's really boost that up a bit more. Let's bring these up to yellow as well. These colors actually help it to be stronger. That's it. That's what we want. Oops, that's too strong now. Just one little clump there and here. Scale it down a bit so we get a bit of variation. Rotate it, and there you go. There's a nice tree. Now I've done loads and I've left these two little leaves in place, and I want to get rid of them. But that's fine. I'll just crop this anyway. I'm not going to fuss too much. Now I've got that. I can press I, and I'm going to use Control L. I'm going to put this, yeah, just put this here, birch tree. In fact, no, I'm going to put it somewhere else because I've already gave you guys access to this folder. So let's go here. Let's just dump it into some alpha R and call it birch tree. Right, now I'm going to get into Photoshop and just tweak it up a bit. Birch tree. Here. Alright, looks nice, so I'll just clean it up, get rid of those bits. A couple of little leaves that are just wandering around. This one and this one. Maybe they're falling off though. Nah, it's too green to be falling off, isn't it? Can always add them later. Right, this one as well. Oh, it's quite nice though. Definitely want to add those in. Okay, so there's a tree. Now it is a little bit pixelated, just a bit, because we need to just reduce this scale of it. So I'll just crop it first, or trim it, right? Trim away all the transparent pixels, and then image size. Oops, image size, and go down to about 600 on the biggest one. So 600 is the biggest scale, and bilinear. That'll give us a little bit of niceness between the pixels. Now if you want, undo that and go to filter other, filter stylize oil paint, and that's going to give you a nice way of kind of making a stylized look. Don't want it to be super high. I usually make them quite low, and it will kind of finesse between the lines a bit and make it look more painted and get rid of the noise. But I want to do it just a tiny bit. So stylize oil paint, just a fraction. Just a fraction. Just so it, just a, yeah, tiny bit. Just to get rid of the noise. That's probably enough. And then when I scale it down, image size 600. And yep, I'll just crop any other pixels away. Let's look at that actual size. It's not too bad. It's lost a little bit of its sharpness. We can always go to the filter and sharpen, and it's brought it back a tad. That's fine. And then I'm just going to save over that layer, and then when I bring it into background designer, I'll call this birch tree. I'll go and find it first. So there it is there. Now I can give it a new name that it stores locally, so birch tree. So it's a completely different name. It's borrowing the file, it's making a copy of it. It goes into custom brushes. It's going to be my face everywhere. It's going to be there, and it looks lush, right? It looks really nice and cool. When we bring it in, it basically looks the same when you bring this down to the left, right? Exactly the same. So it means we can bring this up to the right a tiny bit, and we can start to press tab and get like tonal variation. You press X to flip it around. And sort of build these up in a little kind of forest. So you've got your little display down here. If you press W, basically you can start to make a little kind of forest down here. I can even rotate and make a new branch. A few big ones, tab to get a little variation in there, X, little rotation here and there, tab again. And if I want, I can affect like most things the same way just by pressing F3, and then everything will get sort of affected. And if I like that, if I like what I've done, press F4 and everything that I've done will get affected. That's a little kind of thing I'm working on, and later I'll make that a bit more easier to understand what's happening. So if I just want to make a little variation, I'll just put another one over the top. Get some nice shapes. And let's bring in some grass. So there should be some grass here. We've got some grass clump, and dot that around. Let's bring press F2 to reset all of these, and then we'll just tab a few colors and go back to the original colors. Again, that's from that same pack, that Ghibli style pack. You see it's wrapping quite nicely there, so we can get this scrollable background. I'll put that down the bottom here. So I'll go a layer beneath and let's add in some chunks of something that works for some rocks, right? Works for that kind of base. Let's change the tones up. Let's go for some brown tones. Brown is this way. Let's control click everything so they all get the same. I'm just going to do tab a few times to sample this general area. So that's local. Later I'll change the scale of this local because there's no way of telling like the range of it. Maybe some little circles or something. Be cool. Yeah, we want to change the brightness and stuff here. I'll just do some little rotations, why not? Try to make it look like a little typical platformer game. You see that all tiles quite nicely down there. It's all tiling quite nicely. Cool. I can always add little highlights, so I can bring these out, put it into transparent mode, and just like choose one of them. Whatever one looks like it would do the job. That's full. This one, and make it like dark, right? And make them all dark. So control click, and we'll get this little kind of shadow. I can add that in places there, like that. Just get some extra variation, and maybe even some like fog or something. It's a foggy one. Just want to make a little kind of shadow, right? And then spacebar to bring in the, I to bring in the sky, and spacebar to randomize it. We can start to see how this would look in the game. So we've got all the land, all the grass on this layer, all the land on this one. You can actually right click and change the opacity like that, so you can fade them out. Nice little barren landscape there. You fade that right down, or turn it off. Yeah, you can see the difference. We can put even more trees behind. So let's go a layer down and let's choose the tree again. It's under the user one, birch tree, and I'm going to just choose, there we go, that's perfect. Tab and shift and tab to go back if you like that color, quite like that. I'm going to control click here though and bring these tones up. Oh, let's do F2 just to reset. Yeah, and then we get this kind of like shadowy. We can make them look far away, small and far away, or make them look bigger. I think somewhere there, and I'm just going to try and get some tones more local. Yeah, like that. Okay, and just start to spruce a few of these around. Now that should be further away into the background, but for some reason, okay, I was in the wrong layer. Happens. I can actually go to another layer and redraw. I can do Control-Alt-Z and bring those back inside the layer that I'm on. It's a clever trick that I've just made an alternate undo that happens on the layer that you're selected. So that's a good thing that I've added. And see, it's all tiling quite nicely. I can use the right mouse button to look around. And in fact, I'm going to press P to turn on parallax. And we can kind of see, press B to turn the brush off for now. I can kind of see this parallax effect. It's not working so well here between the grass and these bricks. Or this kind of soil, but you can see the effect between those as I move left and right. So I can start to build up these layers and export them individually. Let's bring in some sky. So I'll go to layer 0. That's like as far back as you can go. So the further down, the further back you are. And I'm going to go to some clouds. Let's go for these ones. Press B to enable the brush again. And yeah, some nice fluffy clouds. I kind of want to make these kind of bright to start with, so I'll just control click and I'm just going to start to bring some blue into these and different tones of blue, maybe some yellow, and then maybe press 5 to get a kind of soft look, and press X every now and again, scale it up every now and again. You know, start to layer it all up, make some smaller ones, got them about here. Let's go for a different cloud. Let's make some wispy ones, like that. And all the while, this is all tileable. It's all able to tile itself and go in different directions, like left and right actually, and make its way all the way around. Let's add some more clouds. Let's make the opacity really low for these ones. I just want to dot a couple in. Some here. Cool. Sweet. So let's say you want to export this out for your game. You want to use this layer system in your game. You want to put your little character between the trees and behind this grass and stuff. So because we've used the layers, in fact, I'm going to name them. So this will be called trees, grass, right? So I've named that layer. I don't know if it saves the layer names, check that, but you double click. If you hover over, you can kind of see what's in it. So this will be the, toggle it off and on again. This is going to be the soil, I'll call it. Oops. Soil. Just be careful with some stuff. I need to bring in some fail safes or things you might click by accident. SOIL. I was the only thing that I pressed that did something, change the background. This is going to be the back trees. Double click back trees. And down here is our, it's our clouds. Okay, is there anything else? I think it's just the 4. So turn them all off to see if that's the case. Yeah. So I've got 4 layers like that, and I'm gonna do Control L and save out these layers, and I'll call it like parallax layers. So imagine it was for a parallax game. Now they're all getting saved out at HD resolution. You can change this if you want them to be bigger and some more detail and, you know, work more on them later. But get into Photoshop now and open up those. I'm curious to see. Yeah, it's not saved the names. I'll get it to do that so that it actually saves the names of these layers. But we can do what we want with these now. You can sort of merge them together. Like I want to merge the. I do want to bring in merging into background designer eventually, but I want to merge this with the ground soil. Yeah, I just want to merge these together because it makes sense that they'd be on the same layer. And yeah, I can get rid of that one. These would be in the background, so we get a little bit of parallax, and that would be further away. And that's our gradient. So that's the 4 layers. Let's bring them in together. This one. And then this one. Oops, not that one actually. I need to merge the layers. And put that into, yep. Cool. That's basically that. And to test that this all does the tiling correctly, if you go up to filter, other, offset, and just change the horizontal one, you can see it's got that horizontal wrapping effect, and just clicking to the right a few times, you can get, you know, that kind of appearance of it moving slower. And same for each one, you can actually offset them. Same with the sky, you can offset it. It's just it all tiles nicely like the way you did in background designer. We can make some changes to the sky. Like I don't like all this, so I'll get a little kind of smudge brush and, you know, fix some of that up a bit just to blend them in, make them look a bit different, fluffier. Just kind of, yeah, just mess it up a bit. Why not? Get rid of that repetitive look. But you've already got a head start with everything. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to use a Wacom tablet or nothing. This is just a good way of getting something quick and easy for your game. It's not taking long for me to make a background. It would have taken an artist maybe, you know, a few hours. Not to deny an artist of a job or anything like that, but it's another tool for you guys who don't have an artist, you don't have a budget, you want to make your game look pretty. So yeah, with that in mind, we've got the trees in the foreground and the trees in the background. Imagine we put our little character in between there. So if this was your character, I don't know if I've got one. Let's see. What have I got that looks like a character? Have we got anything? Downloads, desktop, tests. Yeah, let's say it was this leafy. Your character's a bunch of leaves, right? And we can put that into there and scale it down. That's going to be your character, and he's going to see he's in front of the trees, but behind these trees. So he's in front of the background trees, but behind those ones and behind the grass. And that's how you would kind of layer that up inside your game. That rounds it up for this video. It's pretty extensive. It did start off just me talking about how to make your own brushes and bring them in, and we eventually made a birch tree. Blip Paint is also a very cool tool for that kind of thing. I'm going to be updating that as well. Big sale on Itch right now for 6 months. I'm giving away 75% off most things. You can jump to that page via here. Let's just do background designer on Itch. This is where you can get background designer for $1. Pay what you want. If you want to pay more, you'll get free updates forever. The price is $1 for the early access, which is now for the next couple of months. Then it will go into beta, and it'll be $5 at least, and then it'll go into the final release about $10. but that's maybe a year away or something. But you can pay what you want for this, and you get blip paint as well. You get a timer bar. This is blip paint. It's an old project, but I'm going to go back to it and do some things soon. Yeah, it's just another way of making art. Oh yeah, blip paint does animation, pixel art, isometric type of layout stuff. It's got funky brushes. It does Commodore 64 converter and scanner to make sure you're using all the right kind of limitations. And these are examples of some things I've made between background designer and blip paint. Bit of a mix here. Thanks for watching this video, pretty extensive, and I hope you share what you make. There's a Discord channel as well. Be sure to join it. There's a link here somewhere. Here. So yeah, be sure to join that and share what you make. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.